hard to capture, extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifested. The gods work like appliances, dealing in my sacred life.
Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the manga. And for anime only fans, this is the time of the month where a lot of the content that we talk about here on the channel is going to be spoiler heavy. So I thank you for your support. However, if you're still here, I'm assuming you guys are all caught up with the Boruto manga and you do not care about me talking about spoilers or speculation. It's going to be based on stuff that takes place in the manga. So with that being said though, let's jump right into the actual topic. So I want to talk to you guys about Amado and why it kind of makes sense for Amado to actually be taken out. And I don't think that this is something that's actually absolutely crazy. And I think we're in a situation where narratively Amado only has two routes that are actually available to him. So obviously you could have the situation, I'm not counting this, but you could have the situation where he's actually a good guy. If that happens, that's the most boring shit ever. I'm just gonna be blunt with you. That's the most boring shit ever. But you have a situation where if Amado sticks around, you have the route to actually make him the Sasuke Aizen of the Boruto franchise, to where essentially he's the guy that is pulling the strings and manipulating the situation. He's playing five-dimensional chess with everybody. That could be something right there to where that works. However, I really feel like we're in a situation where it's very similar to 2008. And I'm gonna talk to you guys who are anime fans or people that just started the series with Boruto. The way that I experienced the manga when I was reading it weekly opposed to the way that somebody was primarily an anime fan is two different ways. So like for instance, when I say that like, hey, when the Toby is Obito stuff, nobody was really thinking it when those chapters came out. I'm referring specifically to the events of Kakashi Gaiden, which would have came out in late 2004. You don't actually see Toby with the Sharingan until 2008. So there's a 4-year gap. And the reason why I say this is that in 2008, it really felt as if we were in a situation where all this buildup that had been going on with the Akatsuki over the last 3.5 years, it really felt like we're in a situation where Pain, the quote-unquote leader of the Akatsuki, the writing was on the wall for him, because all of a sudden in 2008 we're seeing Toby, and Toby is talking as if he's Madoru Uchiha. He's got a Sharingan shown. Pain is reporting directly to the character. It was one of those things to where once all that stuff started happening, we looked at it and we're like, okay, so obviously this guy Pain's gonna be like a mid-level boss and quote-unquote Madoru Uchiha is gonna be the final villain. That's where everybody's brain started shifting around that time. It was actually a very slow build up towards actually getting to that moment right there, which was actually good writing on Masashi Kishimoto's part. In the anime, totally different. You guys were given Kakashi Gaiden in 2009 during the summer, and then you were given Toby with the Sharingan in winter of 2009. So they're very close together, opposed to you read the manga, you're going 4 years before you even see that, okay, this guy's actually the leader of the Akatsuki and this guy has a Sharingan, and oh snap, he's got abilities that are similar to Kakashi's. At that point, that's when a small minority of fans online were saying that Toby was Obito. But what Masashi Kishimoto did was that he focused a lot of the attention on the downfall of Pain, and it was a way to actually distract you from what was going on with the whole Toby is eventually going to be revealed as Obito type thing, where that would kind of get built up over the next 3 years. But in the middle area, you were given the misdirection of focusing on what's going on with Pain, and over the course of the next 6 months, the walls would start closing in on Pain, and people began to push that character of Toby further from their minds. I think that Masashi Kishimoto is doing a similar thing, because when you read his writing very closely, Kishimoto uses a lot of patterns. Kishimoto likes to deviate away from some of the patterns he does by using stuff like misdirection, where you're focusing on the actual battles and the emotional events that are happening right then and there, which I remember vividly actually worked because I was part of those actual forums, all the major anime and manga forums back in the day. Same when it comes to the Facebook discussions and everything. I remember being part of those communities and seeing what the actual search traffic actually looked like back then. I think we're in a similar situation with Amado, to where we're counting down to when Amado's not going to be relevant because all the signs are there. Ada wants them, Code wants them, and his main existence right now is to give Kawaki the Karma Seal, which at some point is going to happen. And once it happens, the guy's expendable. But I think that if you do kind of write this man off, I think going the route of potentially Ada killing him makes the most sense because it gives you the opportunity to fully explore why Ada has issues with Amado, and it also allows you better storytelling. Because right now, Amado's being written as a character that he's helping out Konoha, he's a little bit in the gray area, but if Ada ends up killing him, you're like, okay, well, he was really trying to help Konoha. He's actually a good guy, and he was trying to outsmart Ishiki, but this is where you get the backdoor characterization. The way Kishimoto tends to write stuff is you're in a situation where there's going to be more to it. Either we're going to actually see the relationship between Ada and Amado, or there's gonna be more information given on there. It doesn't have to be like, oh, that's his daughter. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you could have something where you get a very brief flashback as Ada starts talking of where you actually see Amado actually experimenting on her, or you see that Ada's ability to where she's not able to feel love. There was some type of other conditions that were added to that. There was something else that Amado did to her body, and at that point that's where Ada becomes more of a sympathetic character to the actual readers, and Amado goes from a character of where he's a baby face that's a little rough around the edges, which I'm just using a wrestling term at this point, but he's a good guy that's rough around the edges to all of a sudden there's a little bit of a heel turn before he actually gets killed off, because the reader's going to realize this isn't a good guy. I think that that's where everything's kind of progressing and moving towards at this point. I think the fandom knows, like, okay, the guy's definitely shady and shisty, but you need one more thing to give this guy that heat. And I think that Masashi Kishimoto is positioning Ada as a character that is able to generate that heat that fans are going to need to truly be conflicted when Amado gets killed off. Much in the same way that when the Obito is Toby reveal happened, when you go back and you look at the reactions of people during that time, there were a lot of people that were pissed off. A lot of people were pissed off. Again, it was a very small minority of people back then who read the manga that were saying that Toby is Obito. And I can say that because I was part of the community and I remember getting flamed for that. People ran more so with the whole Toby is Sasuke from the future type of angle, and you couldn't tell anybody anything other than that. Toby is Shisui Uchiha. You couldn't tell anybody anything other than that. And so I say that to say Kishimoto's using a lot of the same elements that he used back then when he was writing the manga on a weekly basis. He's using those same elements now when it comes to the whole situation with Amado, to where Amado feels like a character like Pain that is slowly being set up to be pushed out the manga over the course of 6 months to a year. Pain lasted about 6 months. On the high end, I'm giving Amado about a year just based on how Boruto's manga is being paced. But the fact is that you're in this situation where on top of having the walls start closing in on the character of Amado, there's all this setup that's been going on. And typically when Masashi Kishimoto devotes an entire volume or an entire volume and a half to actually setting things up, contrary to popular opinion, the Naruto manga is not on a weekly basis, just non-stop action. There were volumes where the only thing you had as far as action was concerned were brief skirmishes here or there, which is what we've gotten with Boruto in the time after Naruto lost Kurama. Usually when Kishimoto takes all this time to set something up, there's usually a really big ass fight that has series changing implications on there, and that's why I'm thinking that Amado, once he meets these three conditions in no particular order, Kawaki getting his karma seal put onto him by Amado, if that happens, which it looks like it will, Code and Ada getting their hands on Amado, and that allows Code to get his limiters taken off, and Ada's backstory with Amado to be further fleshed out, and then completion of that cyborg that he's working on inside of Konoha. Once those conditions are met, I think the guy's eventually going to be taken out. That's exactly what happened with Pain. Pain was given a certain set of conditions. Once he met them, Pain was killed off. And just as you got backstory information on Pain, I'm really suspecting you're going to get more about the motivations of Amado and the relationship with Ada and Daemon. However, I want to know from you guys, how do you guys feel about this? I try to use more of my experiences as a manga reader that read Naruto weekly as a way to actually get some insight into where I think that things are going right now, because I think I offer a unique perspective than somebody that just started with Boruto and binge watched the Naruto anime, or somebody that was primarily an anime fan. And then I remember seeing an influx of people jump onto the Naruto manga online once we got to the whole who is in the sixth coffin thing, where the fourth Shinobi World War was beginning to ramp up. So very curious to know what you guys' thoughts are on this. But if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Have an awesome day, guys.